So we're just trying to frame the shot, and I've suddenly realised that being a foot taller than Mary, I've got to squinch down a bit. Can you stand up a little bit more?
Don't go on my tiptoes.
So I'm with Mary McIntyre. Mary McIntyre, you are an award-winning astronomer, space artist, and we're going to go and have a look at the observatory. So we're going to go and do the observatory, and then we'll do a part 2 where Mary's going to actually teach me, go back to the old school of sketching out a lunar image. So thank you very much for your time, Mary.
Let's go.
So I recognised this then, Mary?
Yeah, this is new since she was last here, based on your video. Without me knowing, Mark made me this for Christmas for my Frankenbeanos, and I love it.
It's fantastic.
It's a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. It's just awesome. So he managed to make this without me knowing, even though we both work from home pretty much full time. And the way he presented this to me was to split it up. So my first bit I opened was a bag of wing nuts and bolts, and I was like, thank you. And then bit by bit I suddenly realised what it was, and I was like, yes. So it's mostly built from stuff that we just had in the loft or in the garage, and it's amazing.
Just offcuts, brilliant.
It's really good. Yeah, when I got it, the wood was still sticky from where it had been stained. It was so last minute, but yeah, it's great for these.
So the beauty of that, isn't it, of course, you can be at any height, anywhere in the sky, and see where you want to see.
Really, we need to upgrade this to be a bullhead. That would make it better, but like compared to using a tripod mount, this is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So.
And they're so cheap to make, aren't they? Not saying your Christmas present was cheap, obviously, but...
Yeah, I mean, literally, we didn't. I think the only thing Mark had to buy was this top of this tripod off eBay for a couple of quid. So yeah, brilliant.
And then with your deck chair, your glass of red wine, you're all set.
And the week after he made this, one of my cats knocked these binoculars off the table and onto the floor, and they smashed into about a gazillion pieces. But luckily, they're glued back together and working and still collimated. So Frankenbeanos live another day.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Give this a twiddle.
Yeah.
So just with one finger, up she comes. And then the counterweight down there.
And it's great that if I stand here and look through this with the tripod at the right height for me, once it's pointing at something, Mark, who's tall, my husband Mark, is taller than me, he can come out and do that and it'll still be pointing at the object. That's what I love about this. Like, both of us can take turns at looking at something, and just doing that, it stays in shot.
So whether you're, no matter, and then you can share the view, can't you?
Yeah, which is really nice. And I love these binoculars. I won these in a raffle. They're Frankenbeanos, because they're basically built out of several old pairs of binoculars by Steve Tonkin. And I won them in a raffle, and I adore them. Absolutely adore them.
So Steve Tonkin is worth saying, isn't he? He's the UK bino expert, isn't he?
He's
written books on it.
Yes, absolutely. His book on binocular astronomy is worth getting if you want to fall back in love with visual observing. It's so good. The other new thing I've got since she was last here is this tiny little heritage dobsonian.
This is your grab and go, is it?
It's so good. I really love it. I've done lots of kind of cluster tours. I think the view through it is phenomenal for the size. First thing I did was try sticking a camera on it, and it works. I've imaged with it with my ASI and with the digital SLR. It's a great little scope. I love it.
And you can pick it up with one hand, can't you?
So good.
So it's perfect for like children and...
Yeah.
So what is it? It's a 76, you said?
It's a 74 mil, I think. 74 or 76 mil.
So it's a 3-inch little reflector.
I think it's about 300 mil focal length, but when you put a camera on it, you have to have a 2x Barlow like you do with most Dobsonians, so it's a 600 mil focal length.
Oh, so because you can't get the focus.
You can't get enough in focus without a Barlow. So it's the same with our 10-inch Dobsonian. So yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. So it's 600 mil for imaging, so it's double what I get with my zoom lens, but for visual, that field of view is perfect for just looking for Messier objects.
Oh wow, so wide field sort of scanning the Milky Way, and
it's so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Honestly, it's really
Can we have a look inside? Can we take the dust covers off?
Yeah. Hopefully no spiders. Plenty of hair.
We're supposed to have a spider in a Newtonian, aren't you?
Always.
A spider on your spider. That's brilliant, isn't it? So for a child scope, you know, if you want to look at the moon or stars and stuff.
The moon is really good through this, and I think this costs 76 quid.
Fantastic.
Can't beat it. It would have been an expensive desktop ornament, but I really love it. I use it a lot.
And so simple, isn't it?
No setup, no polar aligning, nothing. Just stick it on the table, point it at the thing.
That's all you need, isn't it?
Go.
Right, then we're going to have to turf these cats out the way.
Right, so wander up. Sorry, Charlie Bean. Come on, Sophie. Off we go. What's the matter? What's the matter? Hey, what's the matter? It's all right. He's a good boy. He only just lets me stroke him now. It's taken a long time. He doesn't like me very much.
Oh, glorious day to be visiting.
It's absolutely beautiful.
And you were solar imaging earlier?
I was, yeah. I was on my EQ5, which now has a new power cable.
Ah.
Which doesn't give me electric shocks, which is...
This is what tried to kill you the other day, you were saying?
Tried to kill me last year. So yeah, it's still my trusty EQ5. We need to replace this plinth. It's getting a bit weathered now.
So it's just a drain pipe?
Drain pipe full of concrete that Mark, I think, put down about 5 feet down into the ground. This is what we used to have in the observatory, but we upgraded that and put that out here.
Does this live out here permanently?
Yeah, so we've got this dustbin. So the dustbin is upside down and clips over this plinth, so it keeps it dry and sealed. And we've had this out here for quite a while actually. He built this within a year of the observatory being built because we cannot be in there together.
So why can't you be in there together, Mary?
If you watch YouTube videos, you'll know there's more than one way to do astrophotography, and Mark and I don't agree on a single bit of it.
That's husband Mark, not me, Mark.
Husband Mark, yeah. We don't agree on how to do a single thing. Neither of us is wrong or right, it's just different. All we do is bicker if we try to image together. But it's great because I like imaging with fast refractors, whereas Mark likes to image galaxies and stuff. So having a different telescope in the shed means we can both do our own thing on a clear night.
So you've got the wide field set up, he's got the longer focal length?
Yeah, he's got the Ritchey Chretien in there, so he does that. And he does it all from in the house. It's all remote access from in the house. I quite like being out here and having to press buttons. So.
Do you sketch out here as well?
I sometimes do. The problem with this mount is it's a bit higher to try to clear the houses, so I have to stand on a step ladder to sketch at the eyepiece. So some days my legs are just not strong enough to do that. So I sometimes sketch what I can see on my laptop screen. But sketching I mostly do at the eyepiece through my binoculars, or now through my new little mini dobsonian. That's more comfortable than standing on a ladder.
Ah, of course, yes. That's a good point then. So having it on your table, it's just the perfect eyepiece height.
It is. It's really good. You can just perch on a chair and just do the sketching, and as you know, with the parallelogram mount you can put that wherever it needs to be to sketch. I do sketch through this, particularly the H alpha solar scope. Right. I do have to stand on the step. Usually I stand on there, and it's not the most safe thing to be doing with my back how it is. But yeah, the observatory mount is too low, this is too high. We've got them the wrong way around. but I mostly image on this one, to be honest.
Yeah. So I started following your lead, because when I'm doing my live stacking, rather than just watching the image on the laptop, I'll get my notebook out and start sketching the screen now. So it's the best eyepiece I've ever bought.
Yeah. Well, it's bigger, isn't it? You can see more clearly. You're not having to kind of go one eye covered, one eye not covered. I just find it easier drawing from the screen. Yeah. And it isn't...
You've got a fan behind you.
Hello. She is a fan of me, that's for sure. This is Evie.
Were there any cool prominences on today?
Yeah, there were quite a few actually. It was good. Loads of active regions. I'm hoping that there was
because that's that big one that's rotated out of view, hasn't it?
It's just on the limb, and there were a couple of really bright spots in there, so I haven't checked whether there was an active flare, because it's been popping flares out like crazy, that region. But both of the big groups had bright spots on them, so I'm hoping when I go back and check the flare record that I've captured flares in action again, which is always fun.
Do you ever make a time lapse or put it all together?
I have. I've done that with prominences rather than sunspot regions. It's a lot of work. a lot of work and a lot of data. But they're really good to do. You see how dynamic the sun is in H alpha when you do time lapse it. It's awesome.
When I first bought my HA telescope and I did a sketch, I thought, oh, I haven't got it quite right. So I did another. Oh, that was not right either. And I realised over the 10 minutes, it was the prominence that's changing.
Yeah. They can move really quickly, like even just in a 20-minute time lapse you can see them changing, raining down, lifting off. Sometimes you just get a huge eruption coming from nowhere. You could literally spend your whole life watching the sun and never get the same thing twice.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It is.
Yeah. New Year's resolution. Hello, can I help you? So do you want to have a look in the shed?
Yeah, please. Well, thank you for laying on this such nice weather. Hello, Evie. I feel like I passed.
She's a sweetie.
And you built this yourself?
The royal we, Mark built this.
Oh.
I held things while he did things. This shed was actually here. It's ready for a repaint, but we just haven't had the weather to do it yet this year. This shed was in pieces in the garden when we bought the house, and so Mark basically put the concrete foundations down, put some wooden corner pieces on, and then attached the panels to that, and then built the roof himself. The roof has been massively repaired and redone in the last couple of years because Storm Eunice tore huge chunks out of it, so we had to. There was a little corner torn off in our tornado, but then Storm Eunice and Franklin absolutely destroyed the roof, so we had to redo it. But yeah, it's been really good. We've had this for 10 years now.
Fantastic.
It's so good.
So that's the roof up there, isn't it? And then the roof rolls.
It used to roll just that way, but we realised the pitch of the roof was cutting off those crucial few degrees for planetary imaging. So we added this as an extra, a bit wobbly. So the roof can now roll back that way. So if you're imaging something that's really low down, you're not affected by the pitch of the roof.
So south is over that way?
South is kind of there.
Oh, I see. So if you want to image that in that direction.
So, yeah, the pitch actually made a huge difference to what you could see low down. So it's really handy that you can just push it back that way. And actually in the summer, if you're imaging the sun when it's over in that part of the sky, rolling the roof back that way keeps you shaded as well.
Course.
So it's really good.
Yeah, you sort of cook, don't you, in the sun? Especially in the shed with no wind.
Trying to see the screen, more importantly. So yeah, we've got our meteor cameras still. We have 4 of those. We've moved the Raspberry Pis that run those to be in here now. So
there's another one on that side, isn't there?
Yeah, there are 4, and on that post there is our all-sky camera that's just been upgraded to a Pi HQ camera.
Oh, see, yes.
So that was all home built as well.
So all sky and your meteor cameras.
Yeah. They've all got little heat sink cases on them to keep them cool, and that's got a HEPA filtered fan on it, so it's got airflow while keeping spiders and dust and cat hair out. That used to be in the study in the house, so we needed to keep the cat hair out of it, but now it's in here, so we need to keep the spiders out of it. Spiders love this shed. So yeah, that's where all the Raspberry Pis that run the meteor cameras are. And I think that's the Pi that's running the old sky camera now. So in here, the roof can roll off either way, as we said, and we have our 8-inch Ritchey Chretien telescope, which we bought second hand, and the mount is an EQ6. We bought that with money we were given when we got married. We didn't expect gifts, we didn't ask for gifts, but people were so generous and we thought we'd use it on something that we really wanted and could use. So instead of spending it on random stuff for the house, we invested in a new mount.
Something important.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all kind of controlled from the computer, and Mark tends to open the roof manually. He's working on a way of automating that, and then he does all of the imaging from in the house, all by remote access. So most of the imaging he does is with this Altair Hypercam. He occasionally will put a digital SLR on there, but one of the things we don't agree on is that he never takes this off. I like to move the camera to align it better with an object, but he won't do that because it means he has to reshoot his flats.
Yes.
So I've never shot a flat in my life, so I don't care about that.
So what chip is it? Which type of camera is it?
183C.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's purple, so I'm here for it because I love purple. But that's the most girl thing to say, isn't it? So yeah, it's got a G band on here. This is an open tube, so you do get spiders in here as well. But yeah, it's really good. It's a really good scope.
And the motorised focuser and the guide cam.
Yeah, guide cam. So that's an ASI 120mm. So it's the mono camera that I used to image with, and then he retrofitted the cooling fan on the back. You mostly would just buy them cooled. Now this isn't cooled, it's got a fan but it doesn't cool, so it's not like the high models that actually have a cooling system in them. It's just
to
airflow to just stop it getting overly hot, and that is a kind of fan that does the same. So we found the off-axis guide, it didn't work very well on here, so the royal we again. Mark found the off-axis guide, it didn't work very well, so he switched to this, and this works significantly better than the off-axis guide did. So yeah, he's really happy with that. So he then bought me another ASI, so that I had something to image with because he stole that one. But it's a great.
And again, you've just sunk a pier into the ground.
Exactly the same. Yeah, filled it with concrete, metal disc there to mount it on, and the bolts to adjust everything. Yeah, it's really good.
I think you're the only person I've visited who has a tiled observatory floor.
It's vinyl.
As a vinyl.
Yeah, it's actually vinyl. We did have tiles, and they were self-adhesive, and the heat in here in the summer made them all melt and go squint, and it was just horrendous. So when we had a flood a couple of years ago, we had to replace part of the floor, and I got this flooring off Recycle about 8 years ago, and it was in the garage, so we put it in here. So much easier to clean now. It's way nicer. So yeah, it's a homemade flats box as well for if you do want to shoot
Oh, that's
flats.
interesting then. So how does that work?
It's got a strip of LED white lights all the way around the edge, and it's all painted white, and then that, and you can see it's made out of an old Amazon box, and that sits over the front of the telescope, so it gives you that evenly illuminated white surface.
Well, can we have a look at that, Mary? That'd be really useful for people who want to shoot flats.
Might have spiders in it. It's got a dead spider on it. Just checking behind it so nothing runs out on me.
That's all brilliant.
So the LED lights are kind of hidden around the edges.
Oh, I
so
see.
It's filthy, so yeah, it's a bit grim.
So your flats are new flats as well, do they?
It does. Yeah, it does the job, because this is the bit. This white paper here is the bit that's on the scope. So that basically sits on here, like this, and then when that gets switched on, it can then shoot flats.
So it'll diffuse.
Yeah, diffuse surface, and I think aeroplane.
Someone's going past, aren't they? See what that is. Oh, it's your parachute plane. Yeah, it looks like it. Is that your Skyvan?
No, I don't think it is. It could be.
There he goes off into the distance. Right, back to more astronomy.
So I think the sharp cap actually has really good function for doing flats, so it helps you get the exposures correct. So it uses sharp cap to do all his imaging. This and the focuser and a couple of other bits in here are actually run off the solar panels that are on the front of the observatory, and they charge my old mobility scooter batteries. The whole of in here used to be solar charged at first, but as things got added, we found we needed mains power as well. We couldn't do it all from solar, not with the panels that we had. So half of the stuff in here is still done from solar and half from mains. A lot from mains. Now there's a spaghetti of plugs these days, with new things being added in here. But so a lot of DIY. We do make a lot of stuff ourselves, buy things second hand, reuse what we can. Just try to be a bit more sustainable with our choices.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
This is my portable mount for outreach.
Yes, the GTI.
When I got awarded the Patrick Moore Prize by the BAA, I got some prize money and I used it to buy this. Yeah. And I love it.
Very portable, isn't it? Very simple to use.
It is. Oh, it's a bit like your new mount. It means you don't have counterweights, and when you've got a row of small children trying to look through a telescope, I think that's really important. I know that a lot of people are using smart telescopes now, but I still very much firmly believe I want children to look through an actual telescope. I love the smart telescopes. I think they're amazing, but there's no substitute for actually seeing something with your own eye through a telescope, and so I still bring that if I can. I really feel strongly about that. That's the telescope I use for outreach because it's really lightweight. It's a non-apochromatic refractor. It's a really old Helios telescope, but I love the views through that. I still do a lot of sketching through that scope. I'll put that on the Alt-Az mount and sketch through that with the zoom eyepiece, and it's great. It's really good. It's not the best for imaging, but for visual it's really good.
And affordable and light.
It was affordable for me because I got it for nothing. So it was a gift. So I got that for free, and I use it more than any other scope for visual. It's amazing. I love it. That's the main scope I image with, the William Optics 70mm refractor. And that's a great telescope. Really, really good.
And there's your solar scope.
My H-alpha solar scope, which is getting quite elderly now. The views through it are not as good as they used to be, but it's still really good. The other thing I bought at the PAS where I saw you last, I actually bought a Herschel wedge.
Oh, did you?
So
they're great, aren't they?
Oh, so good. Like the difference between that and the solar filter, they just don't compare, do they? So I've never had a Herschel wedge before. I also bought the calcium K filter, which I haven't managed to get a good picture with yet, so I'm still experimenting with that. I bought the Barda Continuum filter a couple of years ago, and that is really good as well. So the Herschel wedge and the Continuum filter give you absolutely phenomenal results. So really happy with those. I have no idea how to make the calcium K one work, but I'll get there.
And then these are your targets for the...
I think these were Mark's targets from ages ago. He does it all from inside now.
I see. M101, M51, Sombrero.
Yeah, Mark likes to... He's done the big things that we all like to image, and he's now moving on to the less well-known stuff, whereas I get drawn back again and again to the brighter, more obvious things.
They call them the lollipops, don't they?
Yeah, I'm a bit predictable, so I still always go back to M42, M45, M31 because they're just beautiful, and when you kind of have periods where you've had bad weather, you kind of forget what you're doing, and it's really good to practice on the easy stuff again. I've been playing recently with my mobile phone on a telescope. Oh, I've learned that my phone's not good enough for doing astrophotography. That's the main lesson.
Looking through the eyepiece, taking a picture through the eyepiece.
I've seen people get amazing results with iPhones and Google Pixels and the latest Samsung phones, but I've got a Fairphone 4 and it's not designed for astrophotography. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to be my main source of imaging. But yeah, I think most people these days have phones that are really good at sticking on the eyepiece like that, so it is worth experimenting if you've got a better phone than me.
Just looking through the eyepiece, take a snap. I'll tell you what, can we do some shots of the outside of the observatory? Because...
You want the door shut?
Yeah, we're just trying to see how you made it. So you sunk posts into the ground down this end, and then just run a beam across the shed with just the lightweight roof.
Yeah, these have got a routed channel, and they've got like acrylic wheels that are on this frame. So it's a really lightweight wooden frame, and then we deliberately chose the clear plastic because it doesn't get as hot as a solid roof does.
Of course, so it lets the heat out as well.
It does let the heat out, although it still gets to 50 degrees in there in the summer, but I think it's like that in everyone's observatory at the moment in the summer because we're having all these heat waves. But both of us have back problems, and that roof is so light and it just glides off really easily, so it's worked out really well. So yeah, I put these corner pieces on, and then obviously getting the spirit level and everything right, got the framework there and got that sorted. So it's been here 10 years and it's still doing really well.
And just a light, easy to roll roof.
Yeah, and actually this needs to go up one because the sun's getting higher now. It's even got screws so that solar panels change angle with the season to get the maximum.
It's like those analemas, isn't it? And your sundials.
Push those up now.
Well, it's a good job we came around then, otherwise you wouldn't have done that. And then another meteor camera facing to the south.
Yeah, this is a wildlife camera, which isn't working. But we have You can come along here if you want to. The raspberries haven't grown yet. So there's one meteor camera there, and there's 3 on this corner as well. We've got one that's we've got a kind of practice one where Mark tests things. So one of them isn't kind of live and contributing data, but he uses that for testing new kit and new ways of working. So technically we have 5 meteor cameras, but 4 of them are kind of
Because you guys watched the Winchcombe meteorite, didn't you? The one that landed, the one that was recovered.
Yeah, so we were one of about 20 cameras in the UK then. It was coming straight for us, so we couldn't really use our data. So it's exactly why we need more than one camera in the UK. The people that were south of us got that amazing video of it going all the way across the sky, but for us, we just got a flash heading straight for us. You can't get any trajectory data from that at all. And these cameras are not that good at fireball analysis because they're used to detecting faint things. Winchcombe was a really bright thing, so we couldn't even get a reliable magnitude from that. So luckily other cameras did get it, but on the back of that we're now up to 280 cameras in the UK.
Wow.
And the popularity has just gone crazy. And I was on Sky at Night TV show last year talking about the meteor cameras as well, so we had a load of new ones after that. So yeah, it's really good. It's an amazing citizen science project to be part of. Yeah, and it was really difficult during lockdown as well because they had to sort out getting permits to go and search, but luckily the homeowner had seen it on the news. They normally don't release that information to the public that soon, but they told people to just keep their eye out, and they'd heard it land, the Winchcombe guys. The family had heard it hit the drive, didn't think anything of it, went out, and there's a pile of what looked like charcoal briquette on their drive, and that piece of drive is now in the museum. They've cut that piece of their driveway out, and it's actually with the splatter mark on it. So,
and it was a fresh find, that's what they were saying.
Absolutely pristine, and also it's exactly the same as the Ryugu sample. They're identical in composition, so it's really important. It's why we have to study meteorites and get them classified and do the science, and nearly all of that ended up in the museum because of it.
Fantastic.
So
your cameras were all part of that, and Mark's efforts on the archive were all part of it.
I literally cried when I found out they'd recovered a meteorite, because it's like, it's why we do this. It's brilliant. For science.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for the tour, Mary. That's been really useful.
Yeah, lots of new things since she was last here.
Definitely.